We're back, and it is a delight to say we are joined by a dear friend and most admired comrade in the fight for medical freedom and making America healthy again and preventing the globalists, notably of the World Health Organization, from making us a lot less healthy, which, as he pointed out courageously and to his great credit during the COVID-19 pandemic, it did not do. His name is Dr. Peter McCullough. He is a medical doctor of great renown, one of the most widely published, peer-reviewed articles galore, and as I say, a man who was in the very front line of the frontline docs who were standing up against the kinds of responses to the COVID-19 pandemic that brought us, mask mandates and social distancing and lockdowns and mandatory jabs with what turned out to be a pretty dangerous vaccine. Peter McCullough these days is the Chief Scientific Officer of the Wellness Company and the President of the McCullough Foundation. We're always delighted to catch up with him, especially for the purpose of his making a contribution both to our show today, of course, but also to an important webinar we're doing tomorrow under the banner of the Sovereignty Coalition, looking at what the globalists are up to impinge upon our medical freedoms as well as the sovereignty of the United States. Important update, we're calling it Sovereignty Summit 6. You can register for it at sovereigntycoalition.org. Dr. McCullough, welcome back, my friend. It's good to have you, sir.
It's great to be back on the program.
Thank you. I wanted to catch up with you in particular because I heard a terrific interview you did, much longer than we'll have time for today, alas, with our friend Daniel Horowitz on his podcast, in which you laid out, the ground truth about the nature of this so-called bird flu, as well as I think took strong exception to some of what is now being propounded as the characterization of the problem, point one, and point two, what we must do about it. And I wanted to give you a chance to sort of succinctly reprise that performance.
McCullough Foundation research indicates that the current strain or clade of bird flu, H5N1, highly pathogenic avian influenza, it's clade 2344b, that it actually originated from a lab, the USDA Poultry Research Laboratory in Athens, Georgia. And there, in the published abstracts and work, researchers in collaboration with Dr. Karakawa at University of Wisconsin School of Veterinary Medicine and Dr. Ron Fouché at Erasmus University in Netherlands, they were collaborating. They were trying to get the virus to spread among mallard ducks through what's called serial passage research, to study the receptors in the gullet of the duck. Well, as misadventure would have it, Frank, in lab leaks, one of the mallard ducks must have gotten out, and now for the last 4 years has spread bird flu all over the country.
And as you say, highly pathogenic, meaning dangerous bird flu, at least for fowl. Is that right?
That was the original term, and in prior outbreaks, human mortality, was as high as 50% in Southeast Asia. Very different, lack of health care, families sleeping with chickens. But insofar in the United States over the 4 years, while it spread to many species of mammals, about 40 species, we've never seen this before. So sea mammals and cows and domestic cats. We saw cases in humans that were mild. They simply were a case of pink eye. And there's been roughly 60 to 70 cases now. A summary published in the New England Journal of Medicine by Garg et al. Characterizes them. But in the last few months, Frank, it's taken a turn for the worse.
And what does that mean exactly in terms of it being a danger to public health of humans?
We saw the emergence of the D1.1 strain out of this clade, and that had the ability to go into the human lungs and cause severe disease. So We're at a total now of 3 severe cases. 2 of them were fatal. A young girl in British Columbia survived it, but she required ICU, mechanical ventilation, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, ECMO. Fortunately, she survived. A man in Louisiana, 65 years old, was not so fortunate. He died. And now a toddler in Cambodia has died. Again, family sleeping with chickens, close proximity, potentially a different strain there. But what's gone on is our biosecurity principal management technique on this is failing. And that is, the biosecurity management technique is that chickens are sampled, roughly a dozen or so are sampled in a pooled sample. And if any one of these swabs turns positive, then the entire flock is destroyed. So we have a situation where the farmers don't know which chicken actually has the virus because of the sampling technique. They destroy the entire flock, and then they take the facility offline for about 3 months. And the only reason why they would do this is they're getting rich government subsidies to do this. And then now that's driven the price of eggs higher, and so they're getting a higher profit of the eggs sold. So we have a double perverse incentive now for this failed biosecurity measure. It's allowed the virus to go for too long. Now it's reassorting with other viruses, and it's taken a turn for the worse.
So we're talking about a man-made pandemic caused by a U.S. government laboratory, in this case, not one in China. It is now spread worldwide and is mutating in ways that are not only dangerous for various animal populations, but there's reason to believe increasingly human populations as well, albeit not as severe in terms of its impact to this point. Dr. McCullough, we have to take a short break. When we come back, I want to ask you about the prognosis as you see it, and whether the right response to that prognosis for humans is a new vaccine that should be widely administered to all of us. We'll talk about that and much more with Dr. Peter McCullough of the McCullough Foundation, the co-author with our friend John Leake of The Courage to Fight COVID. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are visiting with Dr. Peter McCullough. I'm very pleased to say he is one of our go-to resources on pandemics and the appropriate treatment of them. He is the Chief Scientific Officer of the Wellness Company and the President of the McCullough Foundation, and the co-author, I misspoke, of The Courage to Face COVID-19 with his co-author John Leake. Very important book about the pandemic that we were through a lot of, I believe, malfeasance on the part of the WHO, the World Health Organization, and the Biden administration, subjected to huge and unnecessary loss of life and other costs. And Doctor, this brings us to the present issue. There are those who are saying, well, look, this bird flu virus is now an incipient pandemic, and we must take draconian steps to address it, much as we did in the previous one, including the widespread injection into our bodies of a COVID, another jab, another vaccination, perhaps in some respects reminiscent of the COVID one. Talk to us about what your recommendations are, sir, with respect to this disease at the moment and its treatment.
Bird flu has been around for over 100 years. A review by Lysette and colleagues indicates these outbreaks are typically 2 years, and they just end with natural immunity. The animals develop a herd immunity to it, and the virus quells. By killing flock after flock. Frank, we estimate only 10,000 chickens have died of the virus, yet it's 200 million have been intentionally killed in this biosecurity process called culling. And that 200 million, they were healthy. They could have provided, both poultry and eggs to the food chain. Now we're presented with the specter of mass vaccination. And there's, two populations. One is the animal population, the other is the human. The animal population for bird flu vaccination has been tried in China and Southeast Asia decades ago. It failed. It basically allows the animals to even carry more virus and spread it around. The vaccines are not sterilizing. And despite
and if I'm not mistaken, we wind up consuming whatever they've had injected.
It's true, although cooking probably greater than 165 degrees probably denatures any protein or even nucleic acids. But now in 2021, CSL Seqirus had an FDA licensed human bird flu vaccine, but more humans died in the normal human volunteer trial with the shot. It didn't look safe. So the U.S. government has not advanced it. Under the Biden administration, it was announced $590 million was given to Moderna to develop a messenger RNA bird flu vaccine. The Gates Foundation and CEPI are developing a self-replicating messenger RNA vaccine for bird flu. And now, we hear about an antigen-based poultry vaccine just recently announced by the U.S. government for our chickens, and the specter of messenger RNA vaccines for humans. Some places around the world, Finland, they've actually already started to vaccinate humans. I can tell you as a doctor, it's unwise to ever vaccinate into a widely prevalent pandemic because we'll simply foster the development of resistant viral strains. And this week, a new USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins was out, and fortunately, she mentioned that possibility and said, we're going to look at this carefully. We don't want to create resistant bird flu strains. Thank goodness she's talking to reason.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about the McCullough prescription for what one should do to protect yourself from bird flu, aside from obviously don't sleep with chickens, I guess, or mallard ducks for that matter. But Dr. McCullough, you, as was true of the COVID-19 pandemic, had some very practical solutions to deal with it if you do contract this disease.
First and foremost, anyone close to these animals should be doing a nasal spray and gargle twice a day. Probably the best is a dilute iodine-based gargle. It's available from Wellness Company as Immune Mist or over-the-counter as Betadine or Cofix. Twice a day, spray it up, sniff it back, spit it out, blow it out. Don't let the virus set up in the nose, and then gargle. And gargles can be scope, Listerine, Betadine gargles. Those are, all reasonable to do twice a day. Now remember, the virus is up in the nose for 5 days and you never know it. And then the first symptom is a sore throat. By that time, it's too late. Don't wait for the sore throat. Do the spray twice a day. And then for our workers now, Wellness Company has actually provided free kits. So we have a Prevent and Protect program. Wellness Company right now, farmers can access our website and get a free kit shipped out, which will contain critical drugs to treat influenza early. Now, we advise getting the test, the PCR test, done for bird flu, but don't wait. Start treatment. And so far, when this has been done in the GARG, New England Journal of Medicine analysis, we can keep the cases mild. The severe cases that I've reported, none of them were using nasal sprays or got early treatment.
So these are not exotic vaccines or even medicines. You're talking about mouthwash, for heaven's sakes, and iodine spray, readily available. And thank you for making your kit available to farmers in particular, because obviously they have a greater exposure than most of us do. Do you see a circumstance, sir, under which we might wind up having mandated vaccinations again, and how strenuously should we resist that idea?
I think the event to watch for is human-to-human spread, and we're getting very close to this. There's reports now of mammal-to-mammal spread. out of South America, if we get to human spread, I think there'll be such fear that's spread across government and public health agencies that vaccines will be rolled out. And I think it's inadvisable. The current ones all look like they're dangerous, and the risk would far outweigh the benefits.
Well, we've seen this movie before. You played a starring role in warning against that kind of response. I know you'll be doing the same this time around. Thank you, Dr. Peter McCullough, for your great leadership in all of these matters.